Now, an exclusive Local 15 News investigation of a so-called charity that claims to help sick kids. Caring Now for kids with cystic fibrosis promises to pay for lung transplants.
Yeah, you may have put change in donation jars at local convenience stores or seen the founder featured in various news reports chopping 2x4s in half to raise money. Well, Local 15's Andrea Ramey joins us now with this exclusive investigation.
Andrea, you found that not a single dime raised has helped a child.
That's right, Kim. According to his own tax statements, he raised nearly $200,000 in 4 years. And according to these statements, he's kept almost all of it. Begging the question, is Caring Now for kids with cystic fibrosis a charity for sick children or a charity for Ron Wursler? He karate chops for cash. Busting boards, Ron Wursler says, is a labor of love. He does it for charity. This interesting approach
slap me.
has served his foundation well. According to the IRS, he raised $186,000 since 2007. But our investigation has uncovered one glaring error with the group.
Has it helped any children in our area?
No.
That's what Wursler told us when we caught up with him last September. 2 months later, his story changed dramatically.
Your foundation has not helped a child so far since 2005?
Just one.
Who?
Miranda,
Who's Miranda?
a girl from Montgomery.
What did you do for Miranda?
We went to Chicago, tried to get on the Oprah Winfrey show, and with the governor's help and my help and a few other people's help, we've helped her get a double lung transplant. And I'm proud that I went to help save her life.
That's a flat lie. I mean, we never received a dime from him.
We tracked down Miranda Shepard's father here in the small community of Ayrton, just southeast of Montgomery. J.J. Shepard says the foundation never helped him. Quite the opposite. He says he's the one who forked out some cash.
It ain't been much, but when we introduced him the first day, we gave him $300 to break a board.
Shepard says he met Wursler one time, several years ago, outside a restaurant in Montgomery. He says Wursler was breaking 2x4s for donations. Shepard says he approached Wursler and told him he wanted to help because his daughter Miranda suffered from cystic fibrosis and at the time needed a lung transplant.
He told us he was trying to get on the Oprah Winfrey show. He said he wanted to pay for one kid's transplant. If that's what he was doing, I thought it was a good thing.
We played our interview with Wursler for Shepard and showed him a news article featured on the foundation's website that claims the organization helped his family. It even quotes Shepard, allegedly from his daughter's bedside at the hospital, saying Wursler, quote, is doing a great thing.
You didn't talk to any reporters?
No, I didn't talk to the reporters. No, ma'am. This is words that he's put out, not no reporter. I've never talked to a reporter. You're the first reporter that I've ever talked to.
Wursler's been breaking boards and collecting cash across the country for years now, telling his story about his sick son who needs a lung transplant to anyone who'll listen. He's been interviewed by TV stations in Chicago,
Ron Wursler,
St. Louis,
Well, Ron Wursler
and southern Utah.
He is breaking 2x4s with his bare hands for $9.
I first met Wursler in 2007 when I interviewed him after someone was caught stealing his donation jars.
It just breaks your heart.
Wursler's son Brandon does suffer from cystic fibrosis, an inherited disorder that affects the lungs and pancreas. The little boy, frozen in time here on the foundation's website and donation jars, seemingly in desperate need of a lung transplant, is now 14 years old. But according to court documents, including a letter written by Brandon's current doctor, Brandon, quote, is neither now nor in the foreseeable future a candidate for a lung transplant.
I just felt like we were on a different page and he had his own agenda.
Tanya Gomian worked as the executive director for the Cystic Fibrosis Foundation Alabama chapter for 5 years. She says when she was with the CF Foundation, the group prided itself for putting 90% of donations toward life-saving research, keeping just 10% for administrative costs. Gomian says she's never heard of a charity where the founder keeps most of the money.
It's difficult to look at tax returns where he raises money and every last dime goes to him personally.
According to Wursler's tax returns from 2007 to 2010, his charity, Caring Now for Kids with Cystic Fibrosis, raised $186,000. $167,000 went to Wursler. And that's just the money he told the IRS about. His group failed to file a return from 2004 through 2006. Not to mention, Wursler admittedly carries tens of thousands in uncashed checks.
Here's $75,500 worth of checks that the foundation's written me that I hand cash. These checks for everything.
What do they prove?
I've worked.
When he first started soliciting money in 2004, Wursler said he needed to raise $250,000 to pay for a lung transplant. But last November, his story changed once again. He told us now he needs $1 million.
Listen, it takes $1 million for a double lung transplant. We haven't raised $1 million yet. Our job is to save kids' lives.
How much does it cost to get a lung transplant?
Somewhere in the area of 100,000.
Not $1 million, as Wursler claims. Dr. Lawrence Sindel is the director of the Cystic Fibrosis Center in Mobile. He says when you include the cost of medicine required afterwards, a transplant winds up costing more like $200,000. J.J. Shepard says in his daughter's case, insurance covered most of it.
We probably paid out, I'd say $12,000 to $13,000.
Dr. Sindel also says most patients look to new medicine on the market for a cure, and only a small number of patients actually wind up receiving a transplant.
There's logistics to it. There aren't a lot of lungs to go around, and there's a great deal of discomfort. So not everybody elects to go through that much discomfort and that much therapy.
Especially since the procedure only extends a person's life for just a few years. Miranda Shepard lived 2 years after her transplant. The last 3 months of her life she spent at Children's Hospital in St. Louis.
For 3 months, me and her had them 2 hours. That was mine and her 2 hours. I would read a book, read the Bible. You know, me and her would play or do something. And, I cherish the moments the rest of my life.
Shepard says he'll never get over the loss of his daughter. Her memory is all he has left. Knowing now someone is trying to capitalize on his loss is beyond angering.
It's people like him that stops people from donating. They read a story on somebody like him, and then they quit donating money because they see people pocketing in the money instead of going to the kids that it needs to go to, that needs the help. To me, this man, he's a fraud.
You're saying you've done nothing wrong?
No. Tell me that I'm not a good person and a good dad.
Well, in a letter from Wursler's accountant dated September of last year, it states the foundation has never helped a child. Early this year, the IRS revoked the tax-exempt status of Caring Now for Kids with Cystic Fibrosis. Wursler says he's working to get that back.
Andrea, you talked to Wursler for further comment here recently. He did a little backtracking, didn't he?
Yeah, that's right. He says now that he may have misspoke when he claimed to have helped Miranda, and he says he may be misinformed about how much a transplant actually costs. He declined to go on camera again, but says this summer he's going to try to get to New York City to try to get on the Today Show and karate chop boards there. We have contacted the Mobile County Sheriff's Department and the U.S. Attorney's Office, which has asked the FBI to get involved.
All right, Andrea, thanks a lot. Great story.